What people want from post-COVID travel is ever-changing. Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we're looking at the hottest travel trends for the rest of 2022.
Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at some of the coolest, most inspiring, and aspirational shifts in adventure-focused travel, as well as a few more out-there approaches to travel that are catching on. Tech to take you further from civilization. We tend to think of technology as being omnipresent and all-engrossing. Older generations are often frustrated that kids and young adults are seemingly incapable of losing themselves in the moment or really appreciating their surroundings. Unplugging seems nigh impossible. The reality is, however, that a balance can be struck. Tech, when used in moderation and limited to a few key products, can actually take you further into the wilderness and allow you to reconnect with nature like never before. Not everyone is going full-blown digital survivalist, but those seeking adventure are employing tech to help them access and navigate some of the most remote and awe-inspiring locations on Earth. And once they get there, you can believe that they know to put their phone away and appreciate the moment. The Globetrotting sabbatical. The concept of working hard and playing hard once felt reserved for hotshot business people on Wall Street. But in our modern age of high aspirations, increasingly competitive workplaces, and impossible standards of work-life balance, it seems that just about every professional is burning the candle at both ends. In short, burnout is inevitable. Rather than take time to recuperate at home or travel to a single relaxing destination to recharge, however, professionals, both young and old alike, are taking a break from their careers to go on a grand tour and really indulge that wanderlust. It's the sort of trip that has historically been reserved for a gap year before entering the workforce or continuing one's education. As more travellers with the means are showing us, however, that great adventure can happen whenever you deem it time. The backyard adventure. Now, while the idea of going on an indefinite globetrotting adventure is certainly compelling, there are some notable financial constraints. Unless you can pick up casual jobs on the road to keep you afloat or have been diligently saving up for this grand journey, it might not be as simple as just packing up and going. But just because you can't afford to quit your job or take a 3-month holiday doesn't mean that you can't enjoy an adventure of your very own. For those with too much on their plates to get away long term, we're seeing an increased interest in short but intense nature retreats close to home. The world might feel increasingly small and cities overcrowded, but a natural space is never far away. So why not borrow a tent, load up a backpack and just get away from it all in the great outdoors? Under-tourism for the win. Speaking of our increasingly small world, there will be more global travellers in the future than ever before. As travel eventually becomes less expensive, more parts of the world industrialise and the internet creates greater informational exchange. The most popular of destinations are becoming utterly overrun with tourists, and sadly, long lines, big crowds and frustrated locals don't fit anyone's definition of adventure. As such, many adventure-minded travellers are increasingly seeking out underrated, overlooked and off-the-radar destinations that have yet to land on the majority of bucket lists. The attraction? Authentic experiences welcoming locals and untarnished natural beauty that hasn't already been posted on Instagram by 1,000 different influencers. Quite simply, in the age of over-tourism, under-tourism is something that all travellers, adventurous or otherwise, need to be considering. Leg-powered travel. COVID isn't the only reality that has changed travel. 2022 is a watershed moment for environmental awareness and climate change. People are being forced to really start thinking about the future of the planet and the impact that their choices have on it, including how they travel. Taking a cycling trip was once a proposition reserved for the most intensely fitness-minded travellers, but heading into the latter part of 2022, more and more people seem to be coming around to the idea. Perhaps it's the success of spinning classes or the advent of urban bike culture. Or maybe people just can't swallow the cost of fossil fuels, personally or environmentally speaking. But for whatever reason, adventure-minded travellers are increasingly strapping on their helmets and embarking on epic cycling journeys. It certainly makes for a rewarding trip, if nothing else. Oceanic Exploration. Our planet is made up of countless cultures and endlessly diverse ecosystems. One could spend an entire lifetime exploring this beautiful world of ours and still fail to scratch everything off their bucket list. The crazy thing is, land masses make up just 29% of the globe. The rest of it is covered in water. so logically speaking, it only makes sense that the seas contain just as many wondrous and awe-inspiring sights as one finds on dry land, if not more. Scuba diving is by no means a newly trendy pastime, but 2022 is showing a significant uptick in underwater adventures. It's not just people wanting to see pretty fish or coral reef either. Travellers are increasingly expressing a genuine interest in oceanic exploration and discovery, and so we're seeing travellers commit to more long-term expeditions and volunteer to help out with scientific research and conservation efforts. Going off-planet. Hey, we warned you that we were going to be venturing into some rather strange directions. We should start off by clarifying that this is by no means an accessible form of adventure tourism, and is unlikely to become commonplace for a few decades. But with that being said, there's no denying that 2022 is the year in which people are starting to really talk about commercial space travel as a reality going forward, rather than the occasional headline straight from science fiction. Are you intrigued by the idea of travelling to suborbital space to experience weightlessness and get an unparalleled perspective of Earth? And are you ready for the price tag? What about an overnight stay on the International Space Station? Airfare not included. Yeah, you better start saving up now. Going to extremes for well-being. Most of us spend 40 plus hours a week staring at a computer screen, only to get home and then spend more time in front of another screen. The average adult doesn't get nearly enough exercise, nor do they eat well. The modern city lifestyle takes a serious toll on both our mental and physical health, but there are people out there who are committed to breaking away from that cycle, and they'll go to extreme lengths to reset their body and mind. The idea of doing a 10-day silent retreat without technology, any form of entertainment, or even eye contact might sound nightmarish to some, but more adventurous travellers see it as a chance to reset and reconnect with themselves. From swimming in the ice-cold waters of a frozen lake and extreme athletic training seminars, to free climbing iconic mountains or getting psychedelic in a sweat lodge, travellers seeking a better life are going great distances to achieve a better sense of well-being. Adventures for the whole family. Know anyone from back in the day at college or university who now has kids? Ask them how starting a family has changed the way they travel. Chances are that backpacking across Asia, late-night bar hopping in Europe, and wilderness adventures in the Australian outback have been replaced by a one-week all-inclusive or trips to Disney. That's not a value judgment, all of the above options sound nice, but it's a stark difference, and the latter trips are less likely to satisfy any serious adventurers. Perhaps that's why some new parents with Wanderlust have begun to challenge the assumptions about what a family can and should do. Parents with young kids are increasingly looking to broaden their children's horizons and expose them to foreign cultures and experiences at a young age. In response to this growing demand, tour companies are creating family-friendly packages to provide the perfect balance of adventure and safety. The frozen north or south. When you imagine getting away from it all, what's the first thing that comes to mind? A sandy beach and a tropical drink? Or maybe the awe-inspiring historic architecture of a centuries-old historic city centre? Well, for the more adventurous travellers out there, the next big thing appears to be a trip to the North or South Pole. It ain't cheap and you're unlikely to come back with a tan, but for those looking to experience peace and quiet in a surreal natural space, you'd be hard-pressed to find a destination more desolate, untainted by human activity, or breathtakingly beautiful than Antarctica or the Arctic. Depending on which pole you pick, you can encounter penguins or polar bears and kayak amidst glaciers and whales. Regardless of which of these two extremes you go with, you're guaranteed to come away from it with a new appreciation for our planet.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Mojo Travels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.